Hey guys, welcome. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 simple changes that if you implement these changes into your life, you will notice a 100 times increase in the speed and efficiency of your personal growth. And what makes these 3 simple changes so effective is that they basically help you to increase the amount of opportunities that you have for self-reflection on a daily basis. So if you're someone who is struggling a little bit with your personal development, if you feel like you're always running into obstacles or you're always getting sucked back into your old patterns, if it's difficult for you to make changes stick in your journey, if you're trying to install new habits and it's just difficult for you to get them to stick, you're always falling back into your old ways, one thing that you're missing is a practice that allows you to self-reflect on a consistent basis. Now, here's the thing. Whenever we're trying to affect change in any system, one key leverage point that allows us to make a lasting change in the system is to increase the system's ability to self-reflect. We want to increase the amount of information flow that is available to the system. So, for example, you are a system. Your body is an extremely complicated system with many moving parts. You have a digestive system, a circulatory system, an immune system, a nervous system, and that's your biological systems. And then as a personality, as a mind, you are a system as well. And whenever we try and make lasting changes in any system, one of the best ways to do that is just to increase the flow of information in the system by increasing awareness. So a very simple example of this was in the Netherlands, I think this was in the 80s, they built a subdivision of houses and there was a mistake in the building process so that half of the houses had this energy meter that was placed in the front hallway of the house. And this energy meter just measured the amount of energy that the house used. Whereas the other half of the houses in the subdivision, their energy meter was in the basement, in the furnace room. So you wouldn't really see it that frequently. Now in the 80s, the Netherlands was trying to decrease the amount of energy that they were using throughout the country. And they found a really peculiar thing in this one neighborhood. Half the houses were using a third less energy than the other half of the houses. And this was very curious because in this particular subdivision, it was the same types of families, the same demographic. So why was one half of the community using a third less energy? Well, they found was that all the houses that had the thermostat that read the energy in the front hallway, they used a third less energy. Now, why is this the case? Because think about it, if you're looking at the energy meter in your hallway every single day, then you're going to be more conscious of the amount of energy that you're using. Whereas if your energy meter is in the basement, in the furnace room with the spiders and the dust, you're never going to look at it and you're never going to be conscious of the amount of energy you're using. You're never going to be able to self-reflect because you have a poor flow of information in this particular system. And this system is your household. So whenever you want to affect positive change in a system, you want to inject more awareness and more opportunities for self-reflection that basically allows errors to be corrected a lot quicker. Because in your house, for example, if you see the energy meter, you see the meter's going too high, you can make a quicker decision to change your behavior and get the outcome that you want. So a practical way you can use this, the first way you can implement this principle in your life is to make a very simple change that I got from Julia Cameron, who wrote this book here, The Artist's Way. This is an awesome book for creative type people who are just struggling with their creativity. One technique you want to implement is called morning pages. This technique has really changed my life and has changed thousands of people's lives that go to Julia Cameron's workshops. Basically, all we're doing with the morning pages is every single morning, first thing when you wake up in the morning, you basically want to get a journal and a pen and write 3 pages of notes. And these notes could contain anything. Basically, whatever is on your mind in that moment, you just want to get it out onto the paper. So practically the way this looks is you just wake up in the morning, you reach over, you grab your notebook, and you just write 3 pages of whatever is on your mind. And the only rules here is that there's no filter. You're not like trying to write a masterpiece first thing in the morning in your journal. You're literally just flowing with whatever is on your mind. So for example, if you wake up in the morning, you feel groggy, tired, maybe you don't want to write anything, this is what you would write. You'd write, I feel groggy and tired. I don't want to write anything in this stupid journal. Oh my God, there's so many pages left. I want to just get up and go eat some food. My stomach hurts right now. So you literally write whatever is on your mind. And we're not judging what comes out of your thoughts. You just put it out onto the paper without judgment. This is key because see what we're doing, if you install this habit and you actually do this consistently every single morning, what we're doing is we're basically like installing a thermostat in the hallway of our house. But really what you're doing is you're installing a opportunity for self-reflection in your life. So every single morning you're actually checking up on your state. How am I feeling? What's on my mind? What did I dream about? What am I worried about? What chores do I need to do today? What tasks do I need to complete? You could even write some creative stuff. Maybe in the morning you're getting an idea for a poem. You can write it down. Maybe you're getting a song. You can write it down. Maybe you're getting some kind of short story or some kind of idea of some kind. Just write it down. And this is giving you an opportunity for self-reflection. This, don't underestimate, just because it's a simple practice, all you're doing is just writing stream of consciousness onto a piece of paper. But don't underestimate this because something magical happens when you do a morning journal in this style. You write a minimum of 3 pages, no more, no less. And you do that consistently every single morning. One thing that I found the way it helps me is that it kind of just gets me into a more creative flow. I think every single human being is naturally creative because we are part of creation. We are all creators of our lives. Some people are a little bit more tapped into their inner creator than other people. But what I found for me is that by just flowing without judgment, first thing in the morning, right from my thoughts onto a piece of paper, that helps me to kind of unblock my creative channel. The thing that normally blocks your creativity is just judging yourself and being too afraid to make mistakes. So first thing in the morning, if you're just writing random bullshit that comes up in your mind, you're really training yourself to not judge yourself whenever you're writing. or whenever you're thinking about an idea, you just write it down. The other day I was writing about I was writing like frogs sitting on a log floating down the river. Like it literally made no sense at all, but I was just writing it anyways. And what I found is that this allows me to be more self-accepting of myself, and it just gives me more clarity for what's going on in my mind. My girlfriend's been doing the morning pages as well, and she was telling me that when she wakes up, her mind is like filled with ideas and things that she's worrying about for the day. But after she does the 3 pages, she says she feels clear. Like she doesn't have to worry about it anymore. It's like she feels like she cleaned her slate, basically. So these morning pages are going to help you to process emotions and are just going to help you self-reflect, because now that every single morning you are forced to just kind of catch up with whatever's going on in your heart or in your mind, then you can actually make better error adjustments. You can change the direction of whatever you're doing in your life. You can make a better adjustment, basically, because you have better information. And that moves us into exercise number 2, which is meditation. Meditation is really a basic human habit. Just like if you want to live on Earth, you need to be meditating every single day for minimum 5 or 10 minutes. If you're not meditating every single day, I don't really count you as living properly on Earth. And I don't mean to be condescending or rude, but it's impossible to live effectively if you don't take 10 minutes every day just to sit down and be quiet. And trust me, I've tried really hard to live without meditating, and I find it doesn't work at all. Everything just falls out of alignment. If you're not meditating, what happens is you're not allowing your mind and your body time to rest and to just unwire and just unpack whatever's going on in there. And what's going to happen is if you're not meditating, you're going to be chasing outside of you for external sources of relaxation and stress relief. Because meditation is a natural way for you to relieve stress. Your mind will naturally calm itself down if you just sit down for 20 minutes and just be quiet. You'll naturally start to fix yourself, basically. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is just sit there and be bored. But if you don't do this, right, if you're too busy, right, you're too distracted, you don't meditate, you don't see the importance of this practice, what happens by default is you'll just start chasing external forms of pleasure. Maybe you'll just go smoke a cigarette, or you'll go overeat some food, or you'll call your friends on the phone and you want to hang out with them. Because you're not processing your emotions properly by actually facing them, sitting with them, not running away from them, but actually sitting with them, reflecting on them, being aware of your thoughts and your feelings. If you don't do this, you're going to resort to unhealthy ways of dealing with your stress. And this is going to cause long-term problems for your health, for your self-esteem, and just for your life. You're not going to be able to live on Earth properly. Your life's not going to work. So meditation is another way that we can systematically install a check where we're just self-reflecting on a daily basis. On a side note, I'm going to do a little side tangent here. Remember I was talking about how whenever you want to affect change in a system, you want to increase the system's ability to self-reflect so that it has better information about what's going right, what's going wrong, so that we can course correct. So a great example of this is like on a country level, for example. One great policy that we could move towards implementing on a societal level would be having more transparency in government spending, for example. So whenever the government spends money, there should be like some kind of document that's online that every single citizen can access, so we can see exactly, okay, where's the money being spent, right? The government will collect taxes, and the government will say, okay, we're going to spend our money here for research and development, we're going to invest it here in healthcare, here in education, whatever. When you have transparency in the system where the government actually has to report what is being spent, and it needs to be documented, and then the people can actually see, what happens in that case is that the government spending becomes a lot more efficient, and they don't lie to the people because there's nowhere to hide. The actual spending is transparent. So you can apply this concept example in your own personal life, which is the third exercise that I wanted to share with you, that Julia Cameron calls counting. Counting. And this is specifically for your finances. So what you do is you basically just carry a little mini journal with you. This one might even be too big. You can go to the store, buy a small, very small pocket-sized journal, and in the journal, you just write how much the journal costed. So if it costed you $2, you write $2 journal. And then whenever you spend money, you write it down in the journal. And whenever you get money, you write that down in the journal as well. So you get paid from work plus $1,000. You go grocery shopping minus $100. And this is called counting. This is the third exercise. When you are counting, what you're doing is you're keeping check, you're keeping tally, and you're increasing the amount of information flow that is in your financial life. And that just helps you to get an accurate view of what's actually going on. Where's my money going? How am I spending it? So that it just is basically forcing you to self-reflect. And when you're forced to self-reflect, there's this kind of magical quality of awareness. Whenever you are aware of something, it almost naturally starts to fix itself. Dysfunctional aspects of your life, for example, if you're eating the wrong food, let's say you're eating pizza every single day, but you're not aware of it, you're not self-reflecting, you're distracting yourself, you're doing the opposite of self-reflection, you're just on your phone, running around, hanging out with friends, or smoking, you're just not paying attention to your stomach. If you're not aware of your stomach, you can't correct the issue. So the dysfunctional pattern will continue. But if, let's say, on your morning pages, you write, holy shit, my stomach hurts a lot, because you're forced to self-reflect for however long it takes you to write the pages, now you can course correct a lot quicker. Most people will spend 10 years just eating pizza every single day, and then they're gaining weight, and they're like, why am I gaining weight? Let me go to the gym. But then they go to the gym, they have no energy to actually lift the weights because all they're eating is pizza. They have no fuel in their system, and basically they just spend their entire life and they waste it in dysfunctional patterns that are causing you suffering. My point I'm trying to make is that if you're aware of what's going on in your life, just because you've installed super simple checks like these 3 changes. Every morning you write 3 pages. Every day you take 10-20 minutes just to sit down and meditate. And to make it even easier for yourself, I recommend just setting up a meditation cushion in a corner of your room and just leave it set up. Just leave it there. So whenever you see your cushion, all you have to do is just sit down on it. We're trying to reduce the amount of friction we have to actually meditate. So the meditation cushion's already set up. It's right there. All you have to do is just literally sit your ass down on the cushion, and now you're meditating. And imagine doing this on a daily basis. This compounds. It has a compounding effect where every single day you're self-reflecting, you're course correcting. So journaling and meditation and even counting, what you'll notice, this magical quality of awareness is this kind of autocorrect that happens. Awareness kind of autocorrects your life. If something's going wrong in your life, just by observing it and by reflecting it and by documenting it in your journal, it autocorrects itself. You don't want to continue dysfunctional patterns. You naturally don't like, let's say you're smoking cigarettes every single day and you want to stop. If you have awareness of your lungs and just of your brain and how it makes you feel, if you smoked a cigarette, it makes you feel a little bit depressed afterwards. If you continue self-reflecting for a few months, for a year even, the bad habit will naturally quit itself. You don't have to force yourself to quit smoking. You'll just naturally want to stop because in your meditation, you find it's harder to breathe. In your morning pages, you find that it's causing you depression. In your counting, you find that you're spending money on cigarettes when you'd rather just not do that. Every single time you go to the store and buy cigarettes, you got to write it down in your journal. After a while, you're going to quit because awareness naturally aligns itself to the healthiest version of itself. Your awareness naturally just wants to be healthy, to be in alignment. And that's exactly why these three exercises are so powerful. I have a bonus exercise for you. So number 4, you can implement in your life. So number 4 bonus is just walking in nature, or even just walking outside is very important. Every single day, you should go for like a 20-minute walk. Just to this is really basic stuff. A lot of the stuff I'm sharing here in this video. But remember, guys, your growth in your life is going to come from the basics. It's not going to come from the fancy techniques like, oh, this breathing exercise releases DMT in your brain and it like opens your third eye and then you can manifest your dreams instantly. This kind of flashy stuff. That's not where you're going to get your results from. The results are going to come from the basics. Journaling in the morning, meditating each day, accounting yourself, and just walking outside without music or without distractions on your phone, just going for a walk. It gives you time to self-reflect, just to unwind, unpack. Healthy people walk every single day. It's very good just to like reset your energy. It's good for your brain to just see objects passing you. You can hear birds, you see people walking down the street, you look at trees and stuff. It's just good for you to just get some information in your brain. So basic walking. Humans have been walking since we had legs. So it's a very healthy practice to do on a daily basis. All right, so that was the bonus. To sum up what we talked about today, these were 3 simple changes that if you implement them in your life, you're actually going to 100 times your personal growth because we're systematically installing checks that will give you time to self-reflect in your life. And the more you can self-reflect, the easier and more natural it is for you to course correct. And your life will just flow a lot easier. You'll stop running up against the same obstacles over and over again because you can actually self-reflect and see, oh, okay, I've hit this obstacle 30 times in my morning pages. I'm thinking about every single day. let's just stop doing that thing that's causing me issues. Let's just stop eating junk food or smoking cigarettes. I'm just going to stop. And this contrast this to what most people do is we try and like force ourselves to stop. Or we punish ourselves for doing bad things. We guilt ourselves, or we get angry with ourselves. You don't need to fight yourself. All you need to do is reflect and observe with detachment and neutrality. This brings us into a deeper point, which is basically like when you're not meditating and you're not journaling, you're not self-reflecting, what happens is your mind and your awareness gets sucked into thought stories, which cause you anxiety, cause you depression, causes you to be addicted to things. When the mind gets sucked into your thoughts, you don't have any space between your awareness and the content of your awareness, your thought stories. When you don't have any space because you're not self-reflecting, what happens is you start living as a character that's always fearful, always lacking something, always worried, afraid of what other people are thinking of you. And when you don't have this space between the thoughts in your mind and your awareness, then you just start to live in a dysfunctional way. You don't live in harmony with the natural flow of life. You're not actually connected to your source. You're disconnected from your source, and you're not living in harmony and flowing with life, but you're actually fighting against life. When you're identified with a separate ego, with a story that isn't even true, then you're living based on falsehood. When you get sucked into your mind and you start thinking like, oh, what is this other person going to think of me? Or, oh, I have a craving for cigarettes. Let me go smoke some cigarettes right now. It's like you're kind of just being pulled around in your life like a zombie. You're not self-reflecting. You're not just taking a step back and thinking, hey, let me just sit down for 20 minutes and reset my energy. Instead, you're just kind of getting pulled by the thoughts. Next thing you know, a week goes by, 2 weeks goes by, a month goes by, and you're just living in autopilot. And when you're living in autopilot, it almost always causes you suffering, because this autopilot is, you see, normally like when you turn autopilot on in your car, you just get to relax. You don't have to worry about steering. Maybe let's say you're flying a plane. You turn the autopilot on. It's actually a good thing because you just get to relax. You don't have to worry about steering. The AI does it for you. But in your life, autopilot doesn't help you relax. It's the opposite. It's constantly in motion. It's constantly chasing after something. The ego mind's always chasing after the next thing. Can't rest. Can't just relax and be peaceful. Instead, you're always running away from pain or chasing after cravings and chasing after pleasure. So if you let this autopilot run your life, it's just constant suffering. This is what the Buddhists called Maya. It's just that you're in a dream of life. You're chasing after dream objects, and they never satisfy you, because once you get that dream piece of chocolate cake, you've been chasing after the chocolate cake, you've been thinking about it all day, you finally get it, you eat it, but you're like, fuck, this isn't satisfying me, because it always disappears. Once you get the thing, it feels good in your mouth for maybe 2 minutes, but then the cake is done, and then you want another piece. Then you have another piece, and then you're like, okay, now what? Now you have another piece until your stomach is aching, and you feel guilty, and your stomach hurts, and you're like, fuck, that didn't actually give me any satisfaction or fulfillment at all. I was just being a slave to my mind, just chasing after pleasure. And the sad part is that if you're chasing after chocolate cake and cigarettes and porn all day because you're not self-reflecting, then you're just going to suffer, because the actions that you're taking cause you suffering. If you eat chocolate cake, a whole cake, okay, once in a while, that's not a huge deal. But if this is like a consistent pattern, you're going to gain weight, your stomach's going to hurt, you're going to have no energy, and you're just going to be depressed. So my point is that when you're on autopilot, when you're not self-reflecting, when you're just trying to, like, you know, turn your brain off and just close your eyes and grope your way through life in the darkness, it always leads to suffering. And I know because I've tried, I'm sure you've tried a lot. So the alternative way to live is just to implement some very simple, very basic techniques that allow you to self-reflect. This helps to increase the flow of information in the system. This is always works on personal levels. It also works on societal levels as well. Whenever you're trying to fix any system that's not working, the first thing you should look to do is, how can we increase the flow of information so that there's more transparency and there's just more, the feedback loop is quicker. So we want to increase the speed of the feedback that we're getting. If I eat chocolate cake, normally the feedback that people get is like the next week when they step on the scale and they realize that they gained 2 pounds. They're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't eat any more chocolate cake, but it's too late. The feedback loop took too long. It's been a whole week before you notice that the cake's not good for you. But for example, if you're meditating, you'll eat the cake and then you'll have more sensitivity of your body and you'll immediately feel like, oh, this hurt my stomach. This is causing me pain. So the feedback loop is quicker. So the autocorrect happens quicker. You can correct the dysfunctional behavior faster. This works, again, like on a country level as well. If the government is spending and they're wasting all the money, then if there was some transparency, then we could see it quicker, right? And then we can correct it quicker. All right, this is this is from Systems Thinking. This is a very effective way to think of your life. If you want to learn a little bit more about thinking in systems, there's a great book that's called Thinking in Systems by Donello Meadows. I recommend checking it out. Kind of shows you just a different lens for how to think about life so that you can live more effectively. Basically, you can optimize the system of your life and also the system of your family, your whole society, your business. There's so many systems. If you want to work with them properly, you can check out that book. I recommend it. Also, stay tuned. I got more videos like this. This was 3 simple ways to 100x your growth. And hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you like this video. Leave a comment. And I recommend checking out my next video, which is going to be tips for creative people who need some help with just overcoming their own self-sabotaging patterns, their own fear and resistance. I'm going to be showing you an awesome tip for creatives who just need to get some fucking art out and stop procrastinating. So if that sounds like you, check out this next video. It'll help you a lot. And otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.